Yeah, they already got a plan in place to snatch that up.
Now there's a growing outreach. It seems as if the demonstrators were finding strength.
3 minutes.
Discovered their cause was a bomb. Arrests in Washington were below normal. Police attribute this to the fact that for the first time in 30 years, you couldn't even buy a beer in Washington. The civil rights marchers needed no stimulus like that. They provided their own, with songs that ranged from the sacred to the hillbilly, but with the one recurring theme, the cause of 20 million Negroes. Washington, D.C., 1963. Democracy speaks in a mighty voice.
Yo, check this out, man. We rolling this way. That march in 1963, that's a bit of nonsense. We ain't rolling like that no more. Matter of fact, the Young Black America, we rolling up with seminars, press conferences, and straight up rallies. Am I right? We gonna get what we got to get. That is to us. Work up. Ain't going out like that 63 nonsense.
Okay. Just put share.
Wait a minute.
Distributed properly to this community.
soon as he cut it, you can go in and introduce him, and y'all can talk about what y'all need to talk about, and then tell me when to do the video.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do it.
After y'all introductions, then I'll go ahead and do the video.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll set up the video.
On this team, we fight for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know that's going to make the difference between winning and losing.
100 years. Police attribute this to the fact that for the first time in 30 years, you couldn't even buy a beer in Washington. The civil rights marchers needed no stimulants like that. They provided their own with songs of
All right.
sacred to the hillbilly, but with the one recurring theme, the cause of 20 million Negroes. Washington, D.C., 1963. Democracy speaks in a mighty voice.
Check this out, man. We rolling this way. That march in 1963, as a bit of nonsense. We ain't rolling like that no more.
He said 1 minute. Oh, I messed him up or
we rolling up with seminars, press conferences, and straight up rallies. Am I right?
Yeah.
We gonna get what we got to get. Coming to us, word up. We ain't going out like that 63 nonsense. Later.
The name of that new law firm they hired to help Archer.
Oh, yeah.
Out of Ohio. Right.
Good afternoon, Flint and affiliate cities and supporters. This is the Democracy Defense League podcast We come to you every other week, giving analysis and perspective and trying to help be a voice, one of many, but just a voice in the ongoing challenges that we face here in the city of Flint. I'm glad to have with me today Reggie Davidson, who's the office manager for Napoli Skolnick Law Firm. And there's some new developments taking place with the water settlement, and he's going to help us unpack all of that. But before we get to him, and welcome, Reggie.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
All right. Thank you. And so before we get to that, in our last podcast, we talked about World Water Day, which is an international day of raising the issues of water issues. And people from around the world, but in Michigan as well, have festivities to raise the issues of water. And we are part of that now with the goings on here in Flint. And we were able to take a van of 8 people representing Flint, and there were people to Lansing, and there were people from all over the state down there coming together to kind of collaborate on their various water issues. And one of our members got to give a testimonial of what people always ask about Flint whenever you around a water event. And so we had one of our members, Claudia Milton Perkins, Claudia Perkins Milton, to give a little synopsis of where we're at in Flint. So we're going to show that to you right now. This is from World Water Day in Lansing in March.
We need it, all of us. And we have been in a bitter fight for a very long time. We're embarking 9 years as of April 25th. I'm a union rep at the highest level. I ran the Delphi plants, which used to be AC Spark Club. So I watched a lot of pollution go into our Flint River for many years, from not only General Motors, but from the DuPont plant. My problem with that is we've never held them accountable to clean up what they messed up. That's one problem nobody seems to want to talk about or answer. In Flint in 2014, we had the water crisis. It fell on deaf ears because they didn't want to do anything about it. So we were poisoned by our government. And that would be Rick Snyder and his cohorts. The problem I have is that none of them have ever been criminally charged. We had it going on a roll with Todd Flood, who was one of the attorneys, and he indicted some of them. When your attorney general, the new one, came on, she dropped all the charges. Our organization, which is led by Claire McClinton, sitting back there. Raise your hand, Claire. We fought like wild tigers. We put on demonstrations in Flint at the water plant. There was a gentleman that worked at the water plant. He told us the water was no good. He's dead now. But anyway, that fell on deaf ears. We have marched and fought. We've taken many buses from Flint to Lansing. We've done mock funerals with coffins. We had orange baby water bottles on display. We have gone in front of the MDE and the ABC and the DEQ and everybody else. And we are not tired yet because we're Flintstones. We're not going anywhere.
All right.
We are fighting for water affordability. We also want Medicare for all. We want to do away with the EM, Emergency Management Law. We are sick and tired of being sick we tell them often as we can. We have had all kind of podcasts and everything else. They're not right in government, and unless we force them, they won't be right. There was a podcast by a gentleman named A.C. Dumas in Flint. He brought the city administrator under then Mayor Karen Weaver on his show. And there was an itemized list of the things that our water money was being used for. Now, the people in Flint are getting shafted like crazy. We never get taken care of. Yep. They had a list that said $90 million. There was nothing on the $90 million to tell you what it was for. As far as I'm concerned, it went in the governor's pocket and all his courts. They used part of our money to remodel a city theater. They used part of our money to renovate the YWCA in Lansing. What did that have to do with Flint? Then you have these for-profit organizations that are getting our monies, and the people are never getting taken care of. We are sick and tired of being sick and tired. So we've told them repeatedly, and we are going to fight. We told them we're not going anywhere. That's right. They poisoned us, and somebody needs to be held accountable. From the White House to the outhouse, I've been there. Amen. National Wildlife Authority sent me to Washington, D.C. There was a delegation with me. We sat down with Dr. Peter Gravitt, who is the over all the fresh water in the United States. We sat down with the highest authority in the EPA. Everybody gave their testimony. And the guy under the EPA, I can't remember his name, but he was at the highest level. He cried. We had Gina Luster there with a freezer bag full of her daughter's hair. We had a spokesperson for the indigenous and for the people weren't migrants that were afraid to come to the door to get fresh water because they were afraid of being deported. We had Bishop Jefferson, whose grandson was an A student and he went to an F student. We had myself, my face broke out and I looked like a leper. And it was spotted all up. I'm under a dermatologist even now. I have a spot on my leg that just won't heal. So I'm getting injections in that. Also, my sister, Gwen, she was born the same day as me, the same year, but different months. And she died from 2 different types of cancer. From the TTHMs that are in the water, TTHMs are cancer-causing agents, along with the PFAS and P4. So we have endured much. In our group, we had a sister, Priscilla Wheeler. She was one of the best and always on trips with us to help fight in the water crisis. We also had Tony Palladino. He was very outspoken. He lost a lot of property and then his life. We had Robert Cornelius Williams, who just died. They amputated his leg, and he was a person with Legionnaire's disease. So we've had a lot of fights. And let me tell you, we're not done yet. We're going to hold them accountable until we can't. But as long as I breathe, and we breathe, we're going to fight to win. We want clean water. We want water affordability. We want to abolish the emergency manager law. We want Medicare for all. We're not going to stop until they fix it. Thank you.
Okay, well, we got to share and be a part of a great day, World Water Day, and we had a good impact, as you can hear from that lovely presentation that member Claudia Perkins Milton gave. And so they always look for Flint because they know we are sort of like the canary in the mine as it relates to water. So I wanted to give you all the report. You had 8 representatives from Flint. We was there. And so we'll be continuing to be active. We hope some of you all will join us on our next ventures. Well, right now we're going to get right into, and this is a sort of a sad, melancholy day that we're holding this podcast because it was 55 years ago today that Martin Luther King was assassinated.
Yes.
And so it's sort of a bittersweet that we are here, but at the same time, we're doing something in his memory by trying to break down and clarify the issues that's confronting us today. So I want to get right into this issue about some new developments. And all of us are very unhappy with the pace of the water settlement. And many of us, in full disclosure, I was one who was not happy with the settlement, the overall cost of the settlement. But be that as it may, we now are seeing some movement on the part of the settlement. And as we've stated before, some people in the settlement are going to be okay. And then there's some people who are not going to be okay and may be totally left out. And we don't want to see that happen. But at the same time, we have to stay on top of any new developments coming from the judge, the federal judge who oversaw the case, and seeing what we must do to get what we got coming out the settlement. So I'm going to just open up and let Mr. Reginald Davidson just give us a little recap on some of the movement that's going on in the courts as it relates to the water settlement.
And thank you, Sister Claire. And you just call me Reggie. And so I want everybody out there in the Fli-City Blackout land to like, share, subscribe, and make sure that you all participate in this wonderful podcast and program that's happening on a regular basis. I'm so honored to be next to this Flint fighter. This sister been fighting for so long in Flint to make sure that from a grassroots level, our voices are heard. And from the chair in which I sit in this water crisis as the manager of the Flint operations for Napoli Skolnick, I too feel you when you say could have been a much better settlement. But here we are.
Yeah.
And so being here, last year around June, the attorneys had to turn in begin the claims process of turning in all their paperwork complete or incomplete to the court for processing.
Yeah.
And at that time we became at the mercy of the court in terms of getting to the point of completing what is called deficiencies and then getting to the award letter process. We are still now at that deficiency process. And most recently, as you said, under these developments, and really what it was the court made final acceptance of what it preliminarily agreed to in terms of accepting the settlement. It would be almost as if two parties was fighting and they came up with a settlement, or even in a criminal case, a plea agreement, then the judge has to accept it. So initially the judge will take it under advisement, and then through a process, the judge will get to a place where, okay, I finally accept this agreement. And that's what happened here. And also, the fees and costs were on appeal, and the appeals court made a decision to accept the attorney fees and the judge's recommendation to cap those fees at 25%, not including the expenses, because she's trying to keep everything not to max over the 33 and the third. And so this is what's going on. We're at a place now where very soon individuals will receive from the court and their attorneys notices. These notices will say your case has deficiencies, or these notices will say your case don't have deficiencies. And if they do have deficiencies, you'll be given a period of time, whether it's 14 days, 30 days, 40 days, we're not sure, the court and its new group, Wolf, Garrett, and Marshall, they brought in to assist and or replace the Archer group and helping to process these claims. The Archer group obviously was not getting the job done. And so Deborah Greenspan, the court master, asked for some help with a group that's a little bit more proficient, and they're out of Ohio. And so, so what we're looking at to happen very soon is for people to receive a letter saying that your case is complete and or is deficient. And after this deficiency process, and cases will be eliminated, as you said, Sister Claire, some cases going to be eliminated because they're going to be incomplete. And at that point, then the court can take what is left and properly apply the formula and then issue what is called award letters, where people will know how much they're going to get. And then once they receive those award letters, baked into the cake, you'll have the opportunity individually with your respective law firms, or if you don't have a lawyer directly, to dispute the category that you're put in. If you don't like it, if you don't believe it's right, you'll be able to dispute that and say, no, I don't think I should be in this category. I should be in a better category. All right. And your attorneys will be able to, on your behalf, without it being a conflict like the objections were. The attorneys didn't want to do the objections because they're saying you're accepting the suit. Here, you can object to the amount given to you if you don't think it's right, and your attorneys have to then help you take the information and get you into a better category.
Well, let's stop right there because that's a very important point. And this that you're raising right now is something that we had no idea was possible.
Okay.
Anybody can go to court and sue if you disagree with something. You can go to appeals court and Supreme Court and district and all that. You can say, I don't like it. I'm going to court. I'm going to fight it. But what you're telling us now is that there's a process within the settlement that people can challenge what they're being told they're going to get. That is so important.
Absolutely.
And people need to understand that because if they don't understand that, they won't take advantage, or they may not need to take advantage. But just to know that that option is there is very, very important and very a silver lining.
Yes. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. You're right. Because a lot of people thought you just got to take whatever you get.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you know, in these type of suits, and it's not exclusive to Flint, when you have mass tort / class action suits, normally you have bellwether or a group of people that was pooled to help get you to the settlement point or to go to trial. And so a lot of times what happens is you don't feel like you had any say. You just was turning in information and you're told what you're going to get. And you're agreeing in the settlement, which a lot of people are concerned that they were agreeing to a settlement without knowing how much they were going to get. Exactly. Which is the biggest elephant in the room with these type of cases. It's not exclusive to Flint, but that's the nature of these cases. But baked into the cake, as you said, is the silver lining where, hey, if you tell me I'm an adult, category 24, which is a basic personal injury category, but I feel like I had lead in my system that and had some record of proof of that was over 5 parts per billion, then your attorney is able to take that information and get you into a higher category 23, or potentially category 22. Those numbers actually put you getting more money as an adult. Okay. And so you know, these type of things are going to take place. Okay. And if I can say this to anybody, I don't care who is representing you, make sure you check with your law firm now. Don't wait. Check with your law firm now and say, hey, which draft category am I in? Okay. And do I have anything missing? Even though we've been waiting on the courts to get it together, I know every day our team has still been contacting people saying, hey, you have this missing and you're not going to get a check, even though you signed up, unless this is turned in. And so, yeah. Okay, well, that is some very important information. I want, Reggie, for you to give that phone number for your law firm. Those who are with Napoli and Skolnick, we're going to get that phone number for you to call so you can stay abreast of
what's going on with your claims.
Absolutely. And so if you dial 888-900-7034, that number is for the Flint office. That number, it will ring to New York. It'll ring to our offices in Puerto Rico. It'll ring wherever it's available. If all of the lines are tied up in Flint, it might ring over to another office and they can handle it too. We all have the same information. But if you just want to talk to somebody in the Flint office because you've been dealing with them, then you can tell them that and they'll transfer you back to us until you reach us.
Okay.
And so call that number, and my extension personally is 3701, and I'm always working. So you can call that number, and if you want to talk to me in particular, 3701. I manage the Flint office, so whatever information I don't know, I can find out. And I know one of the biggest concerns everybody have right now, Sister Claire, is when am I going to get my money?
That's right.
When are they going to pay out? This has been we're going into the 9th year of this lawsuit. We're there, and when is it going to pay out? And since June of last year, it is the honest truth that this matter have been turned over to the courts. A lot of law firms are still going to fight until the courts say there's no more fight to try and gather deficient information, because the court is very concerned about two things. One, children. A lot of parents for children just haven't turned in the basic information required for children to get paid, and that is proof of residency that they were exposed in Flint. Mm-hmm. And that can be school records. That can be, you know how you fill out your tax return and you add your kids onto it. It can be tax returns for the period of 2014 to 2016. Mm-hmm. This lawsuit is based off of April 25th, 2014 up until July of 2016. But if a child was born after 2016, but before August of 2020, when the settlement was reached, that child can still be considered for the lawsuit if a claim was filed for them.
Yeah.
Now the claim is closed now.
That's what I wanted to get to. This is important too. And one of the sentences, I wrote down the sentence out of the letter that the master wrote to the judge. Okay. You know, and let me say as an aside, these things are coming out without our knowledge, and we're just tripping up on them and finding out. There needs to be better communication. But that being said, here was a sentence in that letter that the master wrote. And I was very pleasantly surprised. Again, I'm not a big fan of this lawsuit, but the special master sounds like she's really trying to do all she can for people to get what they got coming, because it states in there that they've hired extra help to assist claimants, that means the people who were unable to get information such as blood lead tests, service line data, birth certificates, and school records. So what that sounds like to me is that those that have filed a claim, but there's more information needed, they have hired people to assist residents and claimants to get information that they need to, restore, resolve, or to claim what they're supposed to get. So that was encouraging. You want to talk about that?
Absolutely. So one of the things, and a lawsuit is almost similar to, I give the analogy of surgery. Mm-hmm. If you were going through a heart surgery and you're on the table and you're under, the doctor is not going to wake you up and tell you that they're cutting your left ventricle or they're suturing your aorta lumina valve. They're going to perform the surgery and wake you up and tell you what happened. In the law profession, it's similar, mm-hmm. but like for example, what you may not have known is the mass tort attorneys like Napoli, Skolnick, Levy, Skolnick, Koningsberg, and then Pitt McGee and the others follow along with the courts. They teamed up with the court master, mm-hmm. and they try to get their clients to get proof that they were water bills from 14 to 16, mm-hmm. because even if you didn't own a home, if you had a water bill and your landlord wasn't from Flint and wasn't making a claim, you can make the property claim just because you was paying the water bill. And people was having a hard time, it seemed, getting the water bill. So at one point, we subpoenaed the city of Flint for all the water bills from 2014 to 2016, and teamed up with the court master, loaded that into a system so that the attorneys have access to it. So if you tell me, yeah, I was paying water, even though you moved 3 or 4 times during that period of time, we can get water bills and then we'll put them in your file.
Right.
So the people that don't have attorneys, what the court master is asking these groups to do, which Archer Group should have been doing, and now Wolf, Garrettson, and Marshall will be doing, they'll be trying to get that data. The Michigan Vital Records Department have been subpoenaed. The birth certificates have been subpoenaed for all kids.
Good.
From 14 to 16. So we can use that as proof, one, that the kid actually is who they are. And so it's items like that that have been subpoenaed in order to try and put data into a client's file to qualify them for compensation.
Okay. Now, the other question that I have is about the foster children. I know there was a special fund set up for that so that they could subsequently, they didn't have to meet that deadline. They can still apply for compensation because they were in the foster care system. But my question is this: what about children whose parents lost their parental rights and they were in the system and they don't really know about it?
Right.
They don't know that they're eligible to go and get compensated because the parent, for whatever reasons, and what should be done in those situations?
So those type of exigent circumstances exist, and to no fault of a foster child or a child devoid of a guardian that would have signed them up so that they could get some compensation, knowing that children were affected the most. The court master and the judge have, and this is the developing thing. They have earmarked a certain amount of money. Now that amount changes, but the last I heard is that it was around $35 million that was earmarked for foster children to be able to access, whether they've signed up at this point or not, just for the very reasons that you said. And children who might have had guardians, even though they weren't in foster care, what is a developing thing that they would qualify to access those funds. Also. So in fact, I believe the judge have solicited the help of certain attorneys from different firms. I know Patrick Lanciotti out of Napoli Skolnick is one of the attorneys that is helping develop that process in terms of the kids that have otherwise fell through the cracks with nobody looking out for them, because kids are affected the most.
That's what we're concerned about, because if your parent lost their parental right, or you was living with auntie or something like that, and nobody signed you up, how on earth are we going to get to these kids? And we might have to do some things like some commercials, public service announcements, and things like that, because we don't want nobody left out. So thank you for filling that blank in.
Yes.
But I also want to say that if you all signed up for the lawsuit over at Robert T. Longway, the class action Pittman and the rest of them, here's the number to call them, because you have to stay in touch with your attorneys to find out what's going on. And that number is 248-658-0018. I'm going to repeat it and hope somebody put it in the chat. 248-658-0018. If you signed up over at Robert T. Longway, and you probably know who you are, and many of you was with neither Napoli and Skolnick or with the Water Class Action Group, and you know who your attorney is, you must stay in touch with your attorney. And so Do you have any last words as it regards to these developments?
Yes. I just want to encourage anybody who have signed up for these lawsuits, no matter who your attorney is, to make sure that you contact your attorney. And if you didn't have an attorney, then you contact the court. The Archer Group was who you was able to contact, and they have an 800 number that you can just Google, because I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But what happens is at this point, this is the critical stage. And by that, I mean, cases, Sister Claire, are going to be dismissed. Out of the 55,000 cases that's pending for claims processing,
Mhm.
we're not going to increase the amount of cases on this lawsuit. We're going to decrease the amount of cases on this lawsuit
Wow.
because people are not participating.
Mhm.
And what's going to happen is at some point, their case is going to be dismissed. That money going to be shuffled, put back in the pot. And those who are ready are going to receive that money, less any set aside for the foster kids.
That's very important.
It's important that
That's
you participate.
critical.
It's
Mhm.
critical. This deficiency period is now that the final acceptance is made, it's going to be a short window. We anticipate the court giving what the attorneys have been unable to give, and that's a timeline on when the deficiency period is going to end,
Okay.
a timeline on when the award letters are going to subsequently be issued, because you'll have a finite amount of people that's going to qualify for money. And at that point, the formula can be applied and award letters are going to be issued saying this is how much you're going to receive. And then at that point, you'll have the ability to say, okay or not okay,
Mhm.
and challenge it.
Mhm.
And then after that process, checks are going to start flying.
Okay.
And even though I don't have a timeline, I have been confidently told, because I don't ever repeat anything I don't feel confident is going to be true,
Yeah.
because they've been telling us last year you was going to get money.
Yes.
But they're saying this year you're going to get money.
Mhm.
And it's not going to take all day. So
Yes, we were supposed to be this was supposed to be been in March when everything started being handed out.
I never trusted the deadline until the court issued it.
Yeah.
So here we anticipate the next major move is the court issuing the timeline. So I just want to thank all of you all, especially the Democracy Defense League and Fli-City Blackout, for allowing us to come and share our portion of understanding on the update. And you all stay engaged and stay involved, because wherever you fall on this lawsuit, the bottom line is, the fact of the matter is, after the attorney get their fees, about $400 million, after it's been a flow in the hands of Flint people.
All right.
And we want to be put in a position, and it's not enough to make sure they get what they need. So thank you very much. And I appreciate you for having me.
Well, thank you. And that was some very enlightening. And so we got to stay on top of it. We might not be satisfied with the amount, but if this settlement money awards you anything, you've got to be on top of the situation and claim what's yours.
That's right.
This is our money too, like the ARPA, but this is our money. It might not be what we want. We're pursuing other things to see that the people's needs is getting met. But right now, we don't want anybody that's eligible to get paid to not get paid. That's because right. You was not on top of the business.
That's right.
So we're going to do everything we can to make sure that people are on top. And so from there, I just want to make a couple of announcements. One is that this Saturday at McCree Theater on Clio Road from 3 to 5, there's a play called Water Remembers. And sometimes we have to do a little bit of cultural spirituality type things to cope with these stressful times.
That's right. That's right.
And so this play is something that is of inspiration, and it helps us to appreciate water, and it helps encourage us to continue to fight for our right to water. So that's at 3 o'clock. Now at 2 o'clock, that same day, Saturday, at 2 o'clock at McCree Theater, Democracy Defense League is hosting a resource table where people can come in and pick up, okay, you need help with your water bill. You need help with your utility bill. You need help with your rent. You need help with foreclosure. You need help with information about you haven't got your pipes replaced. Really? People do fall through the cracks.
That's right.
And the system is there they don't care. I mean, the system is the system. You know, you either in it, you either gonna get it and claim it, or you're gonna be left behind. People who have not got their pipes replaced or yard restoration, we're gonna have some information there as well. So please make sure you come over there at the McCree Theater for the play at 3, but at 2, there's going to be some information there to help you with various resources, especially since some of us might not be getting what we thought we was going to get from this settlement. But there's other resources out there, and we must take advantage of it. So that's going to be at 2 o'clock at McCree Theater on Saturday. And so that's about it for today, brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Boys and girls.
All right.
We want you to like, share, and subscribe to Fli-City Blackout, the Democracy Defense League. We appreciate the opportunity through the Fli-City Blackout to come to you with these analysis and with these visions and proposals that we must capture. And we have always said they poisoned the wrong city.
That's right.
That's what we say.
That's right.
You poison what? Flint? You the city that had the sit down strike?
That's right.
You messing with them? You messing with the people that went up against and fair housing, had the first fair housing ordinance in the country for a city our size? You mean you poisoned Flint, the city that had the first black mayor for a city its size? You poisoned them? Oh my God.
That's right.
So we got to live up with our reputation. We got a DNA, a social justice spirit about ourselves. And so we want to continue that because that's who we are. So thank you very much. And I'm going to close. Do you have any parting words?
No, I just want to say it once again. Thank you very much. This is so inspiring. And we need to just stand up and stop expecting people to do for us what we must do for ourselves. And so social economics is on the horizon because we're not going to rely on government or lawsuits or anybody to be the ultimate arbiters of what our future is going to be. We're going to start working with each other and pave our own way.
All right.
All right now.
I think that's a good closing comment. So I hope to see you all 2 weeks from tonight for the next episode of Democracy Defense League podcast. Thank you.
All right.
We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce. We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce. Fli-City got some dogs in it, dogs in it, dogs. Fli-City come off authentic, authentic. We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce. We light it up like sauce in the sauce in the sauce.
My city experiencing a transition from penny pinching, maximizing our dollars, multiply triple digits. I came a long way from baby jars in a project kitchen.